Alright, I wanted to try something a little different with this difficulty check. Instead of clipping parts out and just saying something and then the thing happened, and then doing that over and over again for however many minutes, I thought I'd just actually talk about the game. And this game is Sunken Sanctuary. It's sort of, you could say it's Souls type game, but games like this, they don't really have a difficulty. It's just more the way the enemies work and the leveling system and all that. Just, it's supposed to make it difficult. I decided to start with a mage because usually games like this, mages are pretty OP. I'll definitely say it took a little bit of getting used to because the controls aren't bad. They're actually pretty good. It's just, it's weird to get used to. The movements aren't super fluid, I guess is the word, but they're also not janky. And I will say for sure, I do like the skill tree. It kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy X Sphere Grid. That was pretty fun. Now I think I died a couple times before the first boss, but they were mostly just my fault. It wasn't really the game being difficult, it was just me not paying attention. The first boss, he may look kind of scary, but I was getting hit a lot. And I'm not even a knight or anything like that has a lot of health. I was a mage, which shouldn't be able to take that many hits from a boss. So it only took me a few tries to actually kill him. I actually noticed that I was getting hit more by traps consistently than enemies. Once you figure out enemies, they're easy to dodge, but traps, I kept getting hit by them. So kind of like Spelunky, there's more traps that were killing me than anything. The only enemy I can think of that actually gave any sort of challenge, besides the bosses, was definitely the knights. They were pretty difficult, at least until I got my magic up, and then, like everything else, they just died very quickly. The next boss I actually had to farm for a bit before I beat her, but that was just mostly due to me not being strong enough. I had to get a few more salts to level up and get my magic stronger, but once I did that, she wasn't too difficult because the one thing I noticed with these bosses, they actually telegraph like crazy hard. You'll know exactly what they're going to do no matter what motion they make. And of course, you know, you can see very clearly that magic is just way too strong. That's the problem with these kinds of games. There's always something that's just 10 times stronger than everything else in the game, and that is definitely magic. Yeah, pretty much just this big scary guy right here. Not scary at all, because magic is just so strong. I could stay a good 10 feet away from him and just wreck him without any worry. Now, I don't think this should add to the difficulty at all, because this should just felt sort of like it was difficult in the sense of it being bad and not challenging. It was a platforming. There's one area where you gotta jump on a bunch of tree branches, and it was just no. And of course they throw enemies at you that jump everywhere and shoot arrows at you. So that part was pretty fun. I don't know. I don't enjoy platforming. It's that bad. After all that platforming, I finally made it to the third boss. I don't know if he's supposed to be the third boss, but he was my third boss. And it just... I think since this is short enough, I'm going to go ahead and just let it go. Because this is just sad. With the magic, they did try to sort of hinder you in a way. That if you use so much, your stamina will actually, your maximum stamina will start to decrease. So you can't use magic after you use it so much. But by the time that was an issue, I could drink potions and the boss was already dead. So it didn't matter that much. I don't think I had too many problems up to this next boss. Maybe the dog creatures, they were pretty tough, but even them you can just kind of get above them and zap them with lightning. Now this boss, Jester, he was actually pretty tough. But once you sort of figure him out, and again, bosses are very predictable. He's always super aggressive, so all you gotta do is roll, shoot, roll, shoot, roll, shoot, and you're good. There's no like, he's doing this move, so I gotta dodge. Doing this move, I gotta dodge. Just, I guess it was a pretty difficult fight. I think with him alone, it would add a couple points. The other bosses don't get points, especially not the alchemist. So, I, of course, didn't beat the game, because if I beat every single one of these games, that would take forever. So who knows, maybe it gets harder or easier later, but with what I played, it felt pretty even. It didn't feel difficult, like, not much. There's a few bosses and a few monsters, or there's one boss that I saw and a few monsters. That kind of gave me a challenge, but it's mostly the environment, again, that did all the damage to me. And with this kind of game, it's patience. There's no time limit or anything, so you just watch the enemies, see how they move, see how they swing and fight, and you're good. Same with bosses. You just watch them, dodge them a bunch, learn their attacks, and then you're good. There's not enough... There's too much predictability from the bosses. They very, very, very much telegraph exactly what they're going to do. And that kind of kills the difficulty for me. So I think maybe if I didn't use magic, it might have been more difficult. But even when I started, I had to switch using the pike because magic wasn't really that strong at the start. But after the first boss and I farmed a little bit, magic was just way better than the pike could be. Even with the stamina drain. Which I still don't get exactly how that works. You get a little gray bar under that. And I thought that once that gray bar runs out, your maximum stamina starts going down. But maybe that's not the case. I don't know. My stamina was still going down anyways. Either way, that didn't matter because by the time my stamina was out, the boss was dead. Or the enemies were dead. And there's a shrine right there. Good to go. And I don't know if this was said to be a super difficult game or not. Because I did hear it compared to Souls games, and those are known to be quite difficult. Well, Bloodborne was pretty difficult. And I don't know. It was fun though. I played way more the first time I played than this time. I think I got halfway through, but I don't know. I'd have to say maybe a point for bosses in general. They weren't hard. They just kind of, I don't know. They weren't bad, but you did have to kind of figure them out. But once you figure out their telegraphs, they were just like kind of nothing. And I was able to get knocked around like crazy before I died. There wasn't any real damage from them. It was just they attacked very quickly. So there's just a lot of damage going out, but it wasn't heavy damage. So if you dodge their few attacks and hit them, you're good. So maybe 1 point for that. I don't want to give a point for the platforming because that was just, I don't want to call it janky, but it was janky. There's a few enemies running around that are pretty tough, but that was mostly because of the environment. I was trying to dodge traps while fighting them. The knights were pretty douchey, so I think they get a point. And then the Jester, I would say he definitely adds his own point. And I'm sure there's a few more bosses on there that can add some points, but no, I give it a 4 because magic just kind of breaks the game. It's like, don't use magic. Well, I mean, it's part of the game, so I'm going to use it. I'm sure, I don't know, if I can get hit that much as a mage, I feel like a knight would have it so much easier. Especially a hunter, because you don't have to worry about stamina as far as I know. I mean, I haven't tried a hunter, but that'd be cake. So yeah, I think 4 out of 10. For sure.